There's very few places in the world where cars will go this fast, and here tonight, for the first time ever on Vspeed, we're going to see 1,000 horsepower on a 2-mile oval. the steep banks of Daytona. And for the first time here ever, it's the SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series live on Vspeed. Welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Bradley Cooper. Joining me in the booth here tonight, we'll have Alex Gagnon. But we are ready to go for what should be a great show. The cars that, I think they go back to when the NASCAR peaked. That's where we want to see the action here tonight. Cars that weren't designed to bump draft, but still, they're going to try it into turn one. We're getting set up here to grid. We've got a lot of names out here that I'm familiar with, and I'd like to thank everybody here joining us tonight for this broadcast, as we'll be bringing you flag-to-flag coverage all season long. So, Alex, I gotta say, this schedule up on your screen right here, it takes you back to the classic good old days of NASCAR, back in the 2005 era.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, you look at this schedule, it looks like you ripped it straight out of the time when you see guys like Brian Newman, Jimmy Johnson, Greg Biffle all up at the front of the field. Seeing the tracks like Rockingham back just brings that wave of nostalgia back that you think back to from about 20 years ago, looking for NASCAR calendar, places like Chicagoland as well. Truly a really fun schedule, and I think that they're going to put on a hell of a show with this place.
Yes, couldn't have said it better myself. And race analysis coming up on your screen. Any laps here tonight? Something that's not on that race analysis was some information I got. I just want to throw out there. We will have a stage winner, and the top 10 will get points, but it will be at the halfway mark of the race, and there'll be no caution. I'm actually getting Discord notifications. I'm going to have to fix that real quick. But, in the background, as far as things go, there was a lot going in here to prep this, and a consolidation between the All-American Sim League. Actually pronounced as the All-American Cup Series. So we officially have the All-American Showdown here as we bring together the Challenger Series with SimRacersHub.com. So exciting moments and a lot of people. We've got 20 plus cars out here. I believe we're going to sit at a grid of 24. And speaking of grid, we're just about set to do that. So while we're waiting here, Alex, why don't you go ahead and take it away? We'll get that grid up on the screen.
Absolutely.
So starting on your pole here tonight, take it away.
Yeah, man. 43 of Casey Carrington rolls off on the pole position tonight. 48.195, the top qualifying time. Michael Sturgill to his outside, 0.02 of a second off. Row 2, it's the 92 of Daniel Giroux alongside the 27 of Gabriel Ellison. Row 3, Josh Dillon in the 12, Chris Waddle in the 54. In row 4, the inside, Clinton Sneed in the 49, Joseph Plauger to his outside in the 9 machine. And in row 5, it's the 21 of Clinton Castleberry and the 66 of Michael Garone.
Starting in 11th position, Justin Ray in the 38, Dylan Rosenberg. Just about butchered that one. Sorry about that, Dylan. And 13th place will be Cade Sullivan, Craig Martin, and 14th. 15th spot, Jeff No, Stefan Melnick. I don't know if that's pronounced Steven. I'm going to go with Stefan on that. On 16th position, Tim Bruce in 17th. Andre Carvalho is going to start 18th. And rounding out that top 20 is Kyle Shelton and Stan Carnathan in 20th.
Rest of the field here, Jose Ruiz in the 6 machine, Kane Lee in the 25, rolling off in row 11, and Michael York, Max Steck, rounding out the field.
So there you have it right there. I tell you, a lot of names that we're going to butcher here for the first week, but a name that I'm also familiar with is Michael Sturgill's up there on that front row. Wanted to maybe get a pre-race interview, but we're going to have driver cams on board with this guy. I want to shout it out. Anybody that goes back and watches this broadcast, we're going to have those all season long. You can get your live feed up there on the camera. But what we're also going to have is great action here as we go green flag racing for the first race of the season. Challenger Series is underway. already here, Alex, it's looking like it's one of those races that the front two are going to dictate the tempo of the field.
Yeah, they are really kind of setting the tempo early here. You see they are running side by side up at the front of the field, kind of bottling up everything behind it. Neither side really able to get a run, but you can also see that these cars, a bit of a handful to handle early on. A lot of cars deeper into the field from about like row 4 on back, kind of getting all over the racetrack here through the corners. You see them really fan out and kind of wiggle on corner entry and corner exit. So it looks like it's going to be a real tall test just to keep these cars facing in a straight line tonight, let alone going out there and making a pass for the lead. It looks like Carrington starting to pull ahead just a hair. Leads that lap with the nose in front, but just like that, start right back to the outside.
Like Casey Carrington has held on. He started up here on the pole. Most of the drivers in the top 10 have not changed hands, but Dylan Rosenberg has moved his way up in the 91 up to 8th position. So he's gained 4 spots from where he began this race. And you'll have to forgive me here because I've got some brand new overlays here on Vspeed, and I'm currently trying to find all the buttons. There we go. Dylan Rosenberg starting in 12th, in and out of 7th, 8th position, going back and forth. Quite a few teams out here. You're going to see a lot of serial cars on the racetrack. Well, that team name? I'll give you 2 guesses. The Serial Killers out on the racetrack. So, yeah, if you like Cookie Crunch, well, there he is in Chris Waddle in the 54.
Little onboard action here with the 54. Currently running in that 3rd row. The leader's just in front of him. And you can see with these Gen 4 cars, just the run you can pull back up to the back bumper there. You see he cut about half that distance getting into turn 3. Now kind of settling in, driving off that corner, getting right to the back bumper of Ellison here as they make their way back toward the start-finish line to start lap number 5.
Oh, and who doesn't like Allberry Captain Crunch? If you don't like that, and the car right behind it, if you don't like that as well, you're in the wrong stream. I'm just going to ask you politely to leave. Those are the 2 best things. That makes the world go round. If those 2 could combine, I think Reese's Puffs is like the best cereal, and you put some Allberries on top of it. Oh, that's the path to my heart.
You play the dangerous game at that point, you know. I feel like the berries and chocolate combo, for some berries it works. Some berries, maybe not. Strawberries,
you're not wrong.
2 thumbs way up. Blueberries, I don't know.
Well, all I heard was I'm going to have diabetes after that. That's all I got from that. So Sturgill actually surges to the lead here, takes over the point to lead his first lap, I believe, of the day. Actually, the 2nd one, 3rd one has come across the line. What do I know about statistics? I'm just the guy up here in the booth with the 43 and the 3 back and forth. We're going back to some, the Petty Enterprises, the RCR days, the 3 and the 43. They were dominant here at Daytona. It's no different here as we watch lap number 6.
Not to mention the Evernham throwback there in row 2 with Giroux, that 92 machine, tucking in 2nd on that inside line. A lot of paint schemes of old out there today at the moment. Really a reflection of a couple of different eras, both Gen 4 and not. And if we look a little deeper into the field here, I mean, not a whole lot going on in the early going. A lot of drivers just trying to get a feel for their car, how it's handling. But one of the big movers so far is this 05 of Max Steck, up 7 spots from where he started, 24th up to 17th now. So it's been a slow but steady climb there for the 05, and at the rate he's going, could be up at the front of the field in no time.
We're going to ride on board with the gyro cam coming out of turn 2. You want to talk about banking? Steeper than the roof of your house. The G-forces that these Cup cars will experience, and the drivers, well, even with force feedback, it's a lot to handle, especially with a direct drive wheel. Just trying to keep this car near that yellow line with all the turbulence and all the things going on and off the throttle as you see the 05 move up to the outside line. A little turbulence there from the 21 of Clinton Castleberry. He's going to kind of fall out of line. I was a little bit worried back here. Justin Ray and a few of these other cars are hanging on to the tail end of this. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. And Alex, you can back me up on this. When you come to a race like Daytona or Talladega, any of the super speedway tracks, you're kind of sandbagging. You're sitting in the back. You know you can get up there, but you don't want to get caught up in what we call the big one. And that happens when these cars stay grouped up and guys start making, kind of dodgy and crazy moves that you wouldn't normally make.
Yeah, and in the early going, you don't really have to force the issue so much. It's lap 8. You still have over 70 laps to go before this one's said and done. But as these laps start to tick away, that desperation may not be there if you're in 20th on lap 8. But if you're in 20th on lap 78, all of a sudden you're going to be a little more aggressive and a little more keen to try and make some moves. And people starting to go for it all at once is what usually causes the big ones here at these restrictor plate tracks like a Daytona. And while we might not see a lot of that in the early going, the deeper this run goes on, the more desperate people try and get to the front. And before you know it, I think there's going to be a lot of carnage and a lot of bills racking up for these race teams when it's all said and done. But up front, man, Carrington and Sturgill still running side by side. They have really kind of settled into a nice even pace here in the early going. And a lot of the cars behind them content just to kind of stick around, push them up a little bit, and let this thing go green, because those leaders burning more fuel than the rest of the field.
Yeah, that's the telltale that everybody is just content with where they are. They're going to tick away these laps. Weather on the racetrack right now, 78-degree track temperature, 75 in the air, and we don't expect that track temperature to really come up at all, as the air will cool through this night. Started late evening, and it's going to continue to go down. We saw the race recap there briefly, one lead change, and again, going back to how content these guys have been running. You got 2 Sim Racer hub cars up there on the outside, though. The 27 of Gabriel Ellison is given some draft. He's going to put Michael Sturgill just ahead by a nose and then a full car length out of 4.
And the 3 with the first true lead of the race, I'd say, to this point. Full car length advantage over the 43 of Carrington. Sticking in front of his teammate right now in the 27. And just as the 3 had pulled ahead, here comes the 43 back to the inside. Sturgill not wanting to abandon the guy who just pushed him out front just yet. And it looks like a lot of action happening in the back of the field there. Guys switching lanes top to bottom.
That's Justin Ray, the 38. I mean, he saw the lane. He had the momentum. He picked up a lot of draft out of 2. He said, I want to get back up here to the back end. You also got to take into the equation that these guys are racing for stage points for the top 10. So probably around lap 30, you're going to see some moves that you will see at the end of this race. That's always a factor. When there's points on the line, at the end of the day, these guys are racers, they're competitive, and you're going to go 3 wide for one spot.
That they are, and I'm looking through this field here, and I think, if I remember correctly, one of these drivers who's starting to make some real progress up toward the front of the field is that 82 machine of Carnathan. Looks like he's starting to move up a couple spots as well. Started back in 20th, all the way up to P9 now for that 82 machine. Rapid Fire Pizza 82 on the move here early.
One of the sponsors here for the Sim Racer Hub Challenge Series, the Rapid Fire Pizza. We might have the wrong, looks like we have a different sponsor on that machine. My trading pace has been broken all week, so I apologize to anybody out there. We'll try to get that fixed. For whatever reason, things just not quite working this week.
Trading Paints, a historically perfect website with no flaws.
Yeah, historically, yes. Just like this is a racetrack with no crashes.
Historically, yeah. Never happened.
So what I will do to make up for that fact is we're going to go with the first Rapid Fire Pizza opened its doors in 2015 in Dayton, Ohio. The idea was simple: make delicious, fast, and affordable pizza. Now, in 25 cities across the country, the customers love the fresh taste, the speed, and the ability to create their own perfect pizza with over 35 different toppings and sauces. Go to www.rapidfirepizza.com for a location near you. I hope that made up for
some
it, guys.
action up toward the front of the field. The ad read spurred on a little bit of action up front here. Sturgill with a mirror full of Carrington right now.
And that was one of the things that they talked about in the update here on iRacing is now this car has the super speedway build. So you can actually touch, as you see right here, the 43 gets right up on Sturgill. And it looks like Casey Carrington is going to give him a little shove through the tri-oval. Now it looks like Sturgill playing both lines. I don't know where he wants to go. Is it too early? We're halfway through this run.
And right now, the 43, you can tell, starting to get not necessarily impatient, but starting to maybe force the issue here on the 3 a little bit, poking his nose to the outside, seeing what might be out there. Ellison trying to close the gap before Carrington can jump up in front of it. And these are those moments when you're a couple rows deep, you know, if you're like the 54 of Waddle or the 12 of Dillon, you know, you start seeing the leaders kind of sparring a little bit, going at it a little bit. You start clenching that wheel just a little bit tighter, knowing that Calamity could be fast approaching if they continue to force the issue like that.
And with this car, it happens so quickly. It's so difficult. You know, you always want to see a guy maybe lock it up or take it back the other way and not come up on the race surface. But with this car, it's so out of control. There's no aerodynamic help. There's no, you know, independent rear end or anything that really tells you that helps you get the car back. And so for a lot of these guys, once you start to lose control, you're just along for the ride. And you let go of the wheel because you're going to get broken thumbs.
And depending on how high you have the force feedback, that might be able to happen to you in not only behind the real Gen 4 car, but also behind the virtual one. I mean, some of those wheels, if you put enough money into it, those things will snap around on you in a hurry.
Yep.
And especially in these cars, if you catch a corner the wrong way and start going up for that outside wall.
Dylan Rosenberg down one spot. Michael York to his outside has gained 10. He's just outside the top 10, actually. Running in the 12th position, started in 23rd, so halfway through this field, deep in the pack. He hasn't had a lot of help. He's had to work around cars all the way through the beginning of this run. He's creeping his way towards the points, the payday here for lap number 40. And again, fuel, 100%, as we showed you on the race analysis. I think right now, 44 laps is probably going to be the window to come down pit road. If you're behind Gabriel Ellison, Michael Sturgill, who Gabriel Ellison actually just led his first lap, and if you're behind these guys, you stand to make it a little bit further. Does Sturgill, Ellison, Carrington, do they have enough fuel to make it to the end of this thing since they were out front for so long?
That does become the question. You know, it is a proven thing with these Gen 4 cars that if you sit back in the draft a little bit, you don't have to run full throttle to maintain the gap to the car in front of you. The only people who really need to be running all out are the people up at the front of the field. And if you were running up there lap after lap after lap, you will be burning more fuel than the cars behind as things up front get real dicey off of 4 for a second. The 3 leaders nearly all converged on each other coming off the corner. Right now, Sturgill's got the lead, but Carrington and Ellison are right there to try and take it away. And the 3 of them almost met at the end of the corner.
So everything's sounding right, 1,000 horsepower, thundering around the alleyways and through the infield of Daytona. A lot of history here with these race cars, and boy, oh boy, does it bring back some memories to see these things. I want to see the NASCAR Thunder 2004 paint scheme on one of these cars. Somebody throw that back. I'm really excited. I don't know if you've been paying any attention to X, former Twitter, but iRacing coming out with their news about the console game coming out here in 2025 NASCAR. It's what everyone has hoped for in a NASCAR game for probably the past 20 years. I might have to go buy me a console. You guys might never hear me on Vspeed again. I might be doing that.
Honestly, I wouldn't blame you. I might be doing the same because it's been a minute. As it looked like someone got up to the wall there. I think that was York who may have clipped the outside wall off of 2. Really checking up that outside line, and now part of the field is separated from this lead group of about 12, 13 cars.
Another car that's made a lot of moves. We're talking about Stefan Melnick, the number 1. He's up about 8, 9 positions, kind of back and forth, but started outside that mid-pack, and they're in the money spots. These are the guys that, they have a lot to lose, but the way they're moving through this pack right now, I think these are the boys that are going to take it 3 wide and try to win this stage.
I wouldn't blame him at all. Oh, big move there from Giroux. The 92 up to the high side as Carrington ducked back low. And now the 92 going to look to try and take the lead away from the 3.
He's got a little help. I don't know if he's going to get much, though, from the 27. I don't know if you paid attention to the hoods of both those vehicles, but the Sim Racer Hub Lexus are not going to work against each other. However, the 27 absolutely could push Drew past and get down in front of his teammate Sturgill. Then they work the advantage on the inside line.
That might be the move here for the 27 if he wants to try and reunite with the 3, because there's no guarantee he'll be able to slot in behind Sturgill here with the way Carrington's been glued to his back bumper for the past 10-15 laps here. So his best bet, if you're Ellison, might just be trying to push the 92 clear and then drop down in front, and then the 2 of those cars from second and third could operate a way around Drew up at the front of the field. But that number 92 Dodge machine looking sharp on the outside, trying to pull in the lead here from Sturgill. Been a lot of 2-wide racing up at the front of the field. There hasn't been a whole lot of cars being able to lead independently in this race.
Well, that's the product of this body style and the aerodynamic dependence that it had, and that kind of carried over. It even got more so as the years went on. You look at the current gen Cup car where it's so dependent on bump drafting. As soon as it gets out there, it's like flying a kite. It just falls like a rock. And you know, this was the early onset of bump drafting with tandem racing and working with a partner. You can look in the early 2000s, but this car really is, it's a combination of, you know, it's just a little bit loose. It's just the right amount of out of control, but you can still figure out a way. That's where the craft of racing a super speedway really came into play.
And you see cars dipping and diving all over the track, especially out of the corner. Looked like the 49 there stepped out just below the yellow line. And now pulling themselves back in there. That is the 49 machine of Clinton Sneed, who's bebopping around there, trying to find his way past the 91. Currently scored just outside the top 10, running P14.
Unfortunately, he's lost 7 positions, so what happened to Sneed that put him back there? Was he being conservative? Was he worried about a crash? These guys have been really calm. I mean, we've seen a few moves that were like, wow, okay, but for the most part, 2x2 racing, I haven't seen really any 3 wide at all just yet.
Yeah, no one's dared really take a 3 wide to this point. It's just been cars who maybe leave a bit of a gap, and then the car to their inside or outside can jump in, fill the gap, and take away the spot. And that's how we've seen a couple of guys, maybe guys like Melnick up there in 8th take some spots, or guys like York there in the 5. But yeah, for that same way you can move up, you can move down. But a relatively calm opening 24 laps and change up front here, or really throughout the field. I mean, yeah, to your point, there's been a couple of quick, decisive moves, but nothing that has really gotten people too scared, I don't think, out there. It's been a pretty sustainable way to be driving this race through the opening 25. Everyone more or less kind of staying in the lane and just putting their head down and charging forward.
Well, we were gonna show you. I guess we'll show you anyway. There he is right there. That's Michael Sturgill as we ride on board with him. The only driver cam we have here tonight, but hey, it's good taste. He's been up here. He's led a lot of laps, 16 out of the 26. Looking to try to get that stage win as we have just over 10 to go going down the backstretch.
And Sturgill, he's done a really good job keeping himself up at the front of this field. But to their credit, the top 4 qualifiers have been able to hold on to the top 4 spots for the majority of this event. You see Drew and Carrington go by on the inside. Looks like that inside line got a really good run down the back straightaway, pushes the 92 into sole control of the lead here. But those 2 Sim Racer Hub cars on the outside linked up once again. They're going to try and take this lead away.
Just like history made it. Edward Motorsports, it was inherited by Petty Enterprises back in the mid-2000s. Here they are working together just like it was wrote. How about teammates on the outside, though? 27 and the 3 again. Gabriel Ellison, Michael Sturgill pushing on the outside, not enough down the backstretch. 92 going to have the advantage. We all know about the run out of turn 4. This is where you start sizing them up.
Back down the front straightaway we go. A little 2x2 breakaway. Looks like Waddle going to try and connect himself and the rest of the field to him, but You can see just how linked up those front four cars are. You're starting to be able to get a little bit of separation. Not a whole lot, as that outside group now kind of falling apart. No one really back behind Ellison to support him, as you see Waddle drive right up to the back bumper of Carrington here. Now Giroux and Sturgill side by side again in the 3.
They're going to go back and forth here in this front row until somebody starts challenging on the outside, and that third lane's going to develop here probably within the next 5 laps. You have to venture to say that probably the 9 of Joseph, I believe that's pronounced Lager. I'm going to butcher that, and I apologize. But, you know, you got the 9. He's been playing both lanes. You see him dive to the inside. He was up there working with the 66 of Garone, and you're just kind of sizing people up for the next 5 laps until you find somebody that's willing to take that third line.
And one of those other takers you might see is the 66, who popped his head up there for a second. Garone looked to the outside momentarily, jumped back in the line. Already now, drivers starting to experiment a little bit with trying to create that third lane. 66 maybe testing to see if anyone would go with him. Maybe just trying to play a little bit of mind games with the guys in front of him. Who knows, but either way, the 66, that first car, take a look to the outside to try and make it a 3-wide lane.
Well, Top Gun Racing looking to go Top Gun on the outside. Hasn't quite figured it out just yet. There's quite a few interesting names here with, you know, you got Eons, you got Aspiration Racing, my personal favorite, Piston Broke, but it's spelled P-I-S-T with an N apostrophe. So that's a new one. Serial Killers, of course, we talked about. VBR Racing, OSM, so many different names out here. Lines and Wines is another one here with Jordan Johnson. So plenty of names. I won't go through all the phonetics. There was so much going on in the pre-race that I sent you the Google document. Pre-race. Did you get to read through that, Alex? Was it not hilarious?
I did. These guys certainly brought a bit of a sense of humor to their driver registration here. Got to show off a little bit of their personality as well, which is always appreciated, and hopefully we'll do it justice being able to share bits and pieces of it as the race progresses here. But certainly, especially with the phonetics section on how names are pronounced, there was certainly a couple of characters as we're jumping deep into the field here outside this top 20. A couple of cars who have lost the draft at this point, including the 33 of Sullivan, who is actually 7 laps down at the moment.
Yeah, 33 leading this group. This is the Serial Killers team. As you can tell, the Cinnamon Toast Crunch, the Kellogg's Pops, and looks like the Crisp Cereal back there just behind this group. But maybe trying to help out a teammate here with Cade Sullivan being 6 laps down. There hasn't been a caution just yet. They're well out of the group, though. We're talking about 32 seconds that they have fallen off from this lead pack, with Andre Carvalano leading just at the very end of this group. And even with Andre, he needs to step it up a little bit here. He could be in the same boat if he doesn't start pressing the issue. You don't want to lose the draft here because you'll be in the same boat as they are.
Yeah, and I think luckily for him, the guy in front of him dropped down to the inside, let him pull back into the draft just a hair. It's going to get him close enough to the back bumper. That was Castleberry who dropped down and kind of threw him a lifeline. But it seems like the 19 having a little bit of trouble getting back up into the groove here. He's just trying to hold on to it for all it's worth. He's back up front. Things have single filed out a little bit. Sturgill and Ellison have dropped down in front of Giroux and Carrington, made a little 4-car group up at the front of the field here, all on that inside lane. Plogger now to the outside, getting a good run, gets alongside Giroux going into turn 3. And he's got a little bit of help with the 66 and 55 behind him.
You got to be worried here with Giroux. He keeps blinking a little bit here on this inside line, and we know that anytime it's a continuous issue, Ray Stewart will ask you to pull over and let the field by. So he has to be mindful of that. It's not such a big deal when he's up front in the lead, but when he's 5-6 cars deep, that guy disappears, and if it's, you know, all the way through the corner, you forget that car's there. You dive down to the inside. Throughput's not a kind friend. These cars do not like it.
Yeah, they really don't, and it's especially tough in super speedway racing because you're running so close together. You know, if this was a track where you could really fan out, you could kind of estimate a little bit better where they might be and take a line that they're not going to be in. But in super speedway racing, you really don't have a choice other than to be right alongside, right ahead, or right behind of that car that keeps flipping in and out. So you really just got to hope that whenever they rematerialize, they don't end up exactly where you're driving in that moment in time. It doesn't look like the 92 is the only one having connectivity issues. I think there's a couple other cars who have had it a little bit. I think the worst of it, though, is coming from that 92 machine currently scored in the 5th position.
And if you remember back just a few weeks ago, iRacing was under a massive DDoS attack. We actually had a broadcast that got postponed here on Vspeed, and it wasn't just Vspeed, it was the Road to Pro. It was everything across the board. The entire server got shut down. Everything was broken. So, you know, there's still a little bit of remnants from that. And, you know, to all those people that have nothing better to do out there, I hope you're watching this broadcast and you realize that nobody cares. We're going to race anyway.
If there's one thing that racers love to do more than anything else, it is race despite any and all circumstances. You know, you give people something with 4 wheels, they're going to find a way to race it against one another. And that's exactly what we're seeing here tonight in the Challenge Series. Sturgill and Ellison on the inside, Plogger and Garone the outside line right now. A couple of new faces to the front 4. The 66 trying to push the 9 out to the front of the field here. You've also got the 55 of No just behind him. And, looks like
Plogger's moving. I mean, look what he's done here in the last 3 or 4 laps. He was down on the inside just back on lap 32, I believe. And now, look, he's fighting for the lead.
I mean, he has had a really good run here the past couple laps. He's just trying to get that little bit more to get past the those 2 cars currently holding up the front of the field there, the 2 sim racer cars there, and the 3 and the 27. On board here with the 66 of Garone. And is just, I mean, he is glued to the back bumper of the 9 here. Look at the run that Plogger gets here in the 3.
That's a big run. That might be enough here out of turn 4 if he can do it again.
He got a great launch into 3. A little bit separated from the 66. They're going to try and link up here, going down the front straightaway. Making our way on to lap 38. Sturgill still's got the lead, but a surging number 9 machine on the outside looking to take it away here as they make their way back into turn 1.
I have to say that I'm mightily confused by the Pontiac logo on the back of an Evernham 9, but you do you. Whatever you like. It just caught me off guard. I just now noticed it, to be honest. But, hey, they're just now noticing that outside run. Here he goes into turn 3.
Yeah, and he actually got ahead there for a split second. Going to try and stay glued to the side of the 3 here, off of turn 4. Plogger now on the outside. Sturgill on the inside, back across the start-finish line. Nearly a dead heat at the line. Garone continues that push of the 9. I do believe, if I'm correct there, rather last lap of the opening stage.
Yes, it will be, and it'll be caution-free here. They're going to continue on, so it's kind of the first time here on Vspeed that we've experienced this, but we will get your top 10 officially across that line. Pay very close attention. You know, statistically, these cars move around a lot, so as soon as they cross that stripe, whoever's going to get that first place position, hard fought here on the inside. The 3 of Michael Sturgill. The outside, Joseph Plogger, Gabriel Ellison, Michael Garone. Anybody going to step out? Doesn't look like it, and it's going to be the 3 of Sturgill for the first stage of the season.
It looks like Sturgill took it ahead of Plogger and Ellison. Garone 4th, and I do believe it was Giroux who rounded out the top 5 of that group. We continue under green here, the old caution-free stage there. And next time by, we'll hit the halfway point of this race. 40 laps about to be complete, 40 laps to go at the stripe.
I am very much side drafting here, so I'd hate to say if we were wrong on this because they're even more aggressive this time by. But it looks like it's going to be more of the same, even if that wasn't the case. With some contacts, Sturgill's going to get it again. So if that's official, unofficial, we'll have to get the word on that. But I think either way, Sturgill gets the stage win. We continue on for the second half of this race. And, you know, if you're not familiar with watching a race here on Vspeed, this is the moment where at the halfway in this, we like to find those volume knobs and hear the sights and sounds. And you got a real treat here. 1,000 horsepower around Daytona. Let's get loud here on Vspeed. Oh, we've got big mistakes here on pit road. Big mistakes. The 43 of Casey Carrington, he actually missed the entry, and he's going to commit to the grass, so he doesn't get a penalty. But the one machine back here of Stephen Melnick, he in and out of pit road. He already got the black flag. He's going to commit to his stall. Unfortunately, that's a black flag for an unsafe entry.
Yeah, and that's one of those situations, you know, for the one, that's really just a heartbreaker. Everyone was trying to get down pit road, and then there's multiple people overshot it. I think the one was just maybe following the 43 in. Then Carrington just completely whiffed on the pit entry there. By that point, it was too late for the one of Melnick.
Well, if you're the 12 machine right there, what's going through your head right there? Let's go on board with him. It's got to be interesting for him. He's just got a car come in and out of his windshield twice. Here we go. He gets his down to speed. Hello.
Oh man, nearly got slammed by Melnick there, and you see the one pop back in behind him. If I was the 12, that's one of those moments you just get into the box, and that's when you remember for the first time in 30 seconds that you haven't breathed yet, and you finally exhale and let all of that out.
It's telling a fish to breathe there at that point. Here we go with the 27 and the 3. 27 dives really deep. He's going to be okay.
Take the spot away.
That's hot. That's hot. That's a speeding penalty for the 27 of Gabriel Olsen.
It was an ambitious move trying to jump ahead of Sturgill there on pit road. Might have just bit the 27, especially for a car that had all this track position.
Sturgill misses the box by a couple feet there, has to back it up. Michael Garone, Stan Carnathan, Jeff No, Michael York, all still out on the racetrack. There's a few guys. It looks like Joseph Plogger is actually, he missed his box in the 9. He's back out on the racetrack, but I think he missed pit road. Here come with more cars sideways.
Got turned. 33 is Sullivan got punted trying to get down pit road. Someone got into the back of him. Cade Sullivan facing backwards here off of turn 4. I think he got slowed down a little too early while he was still on the racetrack. And looks like that was Carnathan who got a piece of him.
Oh, that's a hard lick to the inside wall. One more look at it here.
It was slowing down to trying to get down pit road. Tagged by the 82 and then the 55 of No. Additional contact that really got the 33 spinning. That's what ultimately got him into the outside wall. That's one of those moments you just can't get that slow still on the racing line as Garone drifts it on the pit road.
A little bit of right front damage on that 66 as well. He's pitting all alone. Looks like Jose Ruz is going to be the last car out here on the racetrack. There he comes down pit road. So the 23 labeled as the 6 here on Sim is going to hit his stall and misses the box just a little bit there, but starting in 21st, quiet day. This field all mixed up, caution free since the green flag has dropped, and it's Stan Carnathan. He's going to take over the lead lap 47.
Honestly, this round of green flag stops has completely shuffled the field to a point where a lot of the cars that we were seeing up front had some kind of issue on pit road. You saw, you saw Carrington. She's Carrington. Try saying Carnathan and Carrington at the same time. You saw Carrington overshoot the box, go through the grass. You saw Sturgill overshoot his box. You saw Ellison speed on the pit road. I mean, a lot of cars who have led laps today had issues on pit road. Luckily, at least for the 3 of Sturgill, he's still in this lead pack here. Overshooting his box didn't cost him all that much. And right now, Giroux and Rosenberg, the big benefactors of this green flag exchange, as you see everyone on that
Did
draft.
you see the freight train just now? Did you see that train go through? That's
one of those moments if you're the 66, you just get the heck out of the way. Otherwise, you were about to get bowled over like the 33 did a moment ago.
Those cars were going 198. Michael Garone was going 185 when they went past him. That's almost a 15-mile-per-hour difference.
It felt more like 30. I mean, they flew past him.
Dylan Rosenberg just behind Daniel Groot, and this is going to go kind of upset what we had in our top 5 just before pit stops. And our stage win, our stage top 10 has completely shuffled. You're seeing probably half of the top 10 right now has gained 5+ positions. 10 spots gained here for the 91. Craig Martin just behind him with 11 spots gained. Then you've got Stan Carnathan with 14 spots. There's a lot going on here. Michael York at the very tail end. He was actually just in that top 10. He's got 12 spots gained, but a lot of ground to make up there for him.
And you see the lead group was just going around the 27 of Ellison, putting him a lap down. Getting a little ambitious on pit road, ultimately cost him, and now he is off the lead lap. He's in this lead pack, though, so he might be able to get that lap back sooner rather than later. But right now, some work to do as he links back up with his teammate in Sturgill. Those two cars typically at the front of the field. They still technically find themselves there. There's the 27, 1 lap behind everyone else he's racing against right now.
Well, that's a true teammate right there to stick with you even, when times are tough. Those are the true friends when things get hard. Everybody wants to hang out with you when you're up on top, but Michael Sturgill's going to hang with the 27. Try to get him back on the lead lap. Gabriel Ellison has his work cut out for him. He'll be the first car a lap down. He just needs to avoid the carnage. Unfortunately, he's in the Hornet's Nest. This is probably the biggest group on the racetrack right now.
Yeah, and this is a really dicey situation for Sturgill because he's got a lap car behind him in Ellison. He's also got about to be a lap car in front of him there in Bruce in the 411. Running up at the front of the field right now, but not on the same lap as the leaders. You see he is currently scored in 17th, 48 seconds off the lead. And here comes Carnathan to the outside. Almost thought he was about to get split there between the 82 and the 3.
I think they thought about it.
The inside. Yeah, it really
thought
did.
About it. Well,
but right
and
now
here's
Carnathan capitalizes.
Well, here's the situation for Tim Bruce is that he knows he's on the lead lap, but he also knows that 27 could pass him for a position. And here we got the one down there that had problems on pit road as well with the black flag penalty. And it gets really crazy for the 12.
The wall.
Dylan hits the wall in the entry of 1. That's what happens sometimes when you pass these cars. We just showed you earlier the freight train that went past the 66, and it sometimes can catch you off guard, especially in the entrance of a corner.
Yeah, it's tough because then you're trying to bob and weave and stay in the draft all at once, and sometimes you just run out of room when you're trying to navigate lap traffic, especially at Daytona, because while you match the speeds that you would at the Talladega here at Daytona, it's a much narrower track than its Alabama counterpart.
Oh, the flags around
the wall, and he's upside down.
That's going to bring out the yellow. I don't like being on point with the camera. the 5 of York was getting. I saw it on the telemetry. Alex, we've been doing this a long enough time. When you see the closing speed of these cars go from 7/8 tenths to 1/10 in less than 500 feet, you know something's happening here.
Oh yeah. And just as we cut to it, the 5 found himself on his roof. Michael York, who was having a pretty solid day, was up about 10, 12 positions from where he's qualified. Finds himself on the receiving end of heavy outside wall contact and a bit of a roll to go with it.
So here we go. This is into turns 3 and 4. We saw a lot of closing speed for this group. And the 19 had caught up to him there out of turn. Oh, wow.
Oh, boy. I think the 5 and the 19 of Andy Oak, I think, got a little connected there.
A little bit.
Coming off of 4. I think the 19 came down. Not sure if the 5 came up to meet him. Oh, yeah, they did.
That was a lot of contact. We'll go one more angle here on the blip camera, but, I think most of it here is just the 5 went to the inside. The 19 probably thought there was maybe still a hole, or he thought he could side draft because he knew he's left out to dry. Came down too much.
Yeah, and he, I think, came down the side draft at the same time. The 5 went to poke his nose out just a hair to get a little clean air on the nose of that car. And those two things happening simultaneously is what ultimately has cost the 5 and the 19 here big time. On board here, don't look now if you get nauseous easily. Oh, man.
I mean, that's not the worst of the rollovers we've seen here on Vspeed, but it did hurt. And with just 1 or 2 cars involved. However, this does bail out a lot of cars. You got to think,
yeah.
The 27, he's going to get a bailout. The 411, who was on the verge of going a lap down that whole run, he kept himself in a good spot. There goes the wave around there for the 27. The 411 is going to get caught back up with Tim Bruce. This bails out a lot of guys. We had 23, 24 cars to start this race. We had about 7 of them a lap down because of pit stops. So we are good to go here on fuel. We got a few guys that are coming in to top off, maybe get some service done for damage or any problems they had on pit road. But 4 tires here, a little bit of a factor with the horsepower we have, but it's not like the other places we go to here on the schedule. As we'll go to Auto Club, Kansas, and the other places we brought up there. This doesn't count as much here for tire wear.
It really doesn't. Like, obviously, fresh tires will be a bit of a benefit, but not nearly as much as it would be in most other places. Right now, this sort of setup, as long as you've got fuel in the car and tires that aren't completely burnt out, you can hang with the draft pretty easily. It's just going to be a matter of who can make the right moves and time things correctly to actually advance up through the field here when it matters most, when everyone's pushing and shoving, trying to get to the front. I mean, next time by, it's only going to be 25 laps in this race. Not a very long stint. So if you're these drivers like an Ellison or Bruce who just got bailed out, you immediately have to go on the attack here with this second chance, because you don't have a lot of time to sit back and let the race come to you at this point.
Speaking of second chances, we have a second chance to bring a driver up here into the booth with the first yellow of the day, and I think we're going to bring up the 27 of Gabriel Ellison. Gabe Ellison, it's Alex Gagnon and Bradley Cooper in the Vspeed booth. You got a copy?
I got you.
Well, you get a little bailout there. I know you were a lap down. The 411 stayed up front. I think you had a teammate just playing the field there to make sure that you could get back by on the lead lap in case something happened. How thankful are you for that?
Yeah, that was very fortunate that Michael was pushing my lucky dog battle up onto the lead lap. That pit lane closed. Shit. Anyway, yeah, that was really fortunate, and I was glad to have got that.
Well, I hope we didn't distract you there. I mean, you had a speeding penalty, back-to-back flags. You had that right there that just kind of puts you in a bad situation, but you guys still found each other on the racetrack, and you've been working good together. Even with this situation here, how high is the likelihood that you guys get connected back up towards the front?
I think we can. I just had the EOL here from the lucky dog, so the close pits didn't matter. So I think I can get up there. I just gotta be patient, make some moves, and as long as I'm up there with 5 to go or so, I think we can make it happen.
Absolutely. Well, first caution of the night. We're going to have under 30 laps to go here on the restart. Good luck, and maybe we'll talk to you post-race.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
That is Whole Shot Motorsports driver Gabriel Ellison. Do I want to call you Gabe? I don't know. I don't know if I was going to ask him. Alex, you're on point, though.
Yeah, well, I figured he would want to focus up here before the restart.
Yeah, we already distracted him on the pit road entry, so guess we'll give him his restart.
But lights are off on the pace car here, which means we're just about to get back going. Sturgill and Carnathan, that front row, Giroux, Rosenberg, Waddle, and Martin. Your front 6. Couple of cars we've seen at the front of the field a lot tonight in the 3 and 92. Couple of cars who are making some noise up front for the first time, like that 91 or that 22 machine. So a good mix of favorites and newcomers here as the pace car peels off down pit road for only the second time here this evening.
So for our first time in the restart zone, the 3 of Sturgill is going to hit the loud pedal back across the start-finish line. Green flag is out. We're going to have 24 laps remaining as they cross the stripe.
Great launch there by the 3. Gets him right out to the early lead. Giroux's going to follow him through. Here comes the 91 of Rosenberg bailing down to the inside. Leaves the 82 all alone on the outside line. As 3 cars will go by on that inside. Craig Martin going to pull alongside in that battle for 4th. Now Giroux back to the top side looking for the lead.
He's going to have a big head of steam here. He has the 82 with a big shove down the backstretch. What a hit there. That's going to get him the lead.
Yeah, no question about that. Just absolutely catapulted the 92 out front.
Hit him right in the concussion.
The 92 going to take away that lead on the inside. Here comes Carnathan, some heavy side draft on Sturgill. Battle for second. Very, very competitive right now as they make their way back in the 1, the 3, and the 82. Both trying to find their way up alongside the 92 of Giroux right now. Dan Giroux leading in that number 92 machine. Not too many laps led for the 92 tonight, but it's been up front all evening long. And now trying to close this thing out when it matters most.
We go back here to the 66. You remember the freight train that passed him, and he hasn't really recovered from that. The wind blowing by. He's back in 14th position, but Michael Garone is going to have his spots to make up here. 13 cars he needs to pass. He really would like to pass about 11 of them before the end of this thing, just to say that he finished where he kind of started this thing, up in the top 10. So a lot of work to do here for the 66, and there's a lot of cars you can make that case. Casey Carrington, another one. And the number 43. Remember, they were side by side for the lead, back and forth with Sturgill for the first 30 laps or so. And here he is sitting outside, almost outside the top 10. He's in 9th.
He's been marred up in traffic a little bit, but the pole sitter on the move back toward the front, trying to get back up there. One car who has made the most of this second chance, though, is that 411 of Tim Bruce, running in the top 10 after he was nearly lapped just a few laps ago. Huge opportunity there for that Cinnamon Toast Crunch machine to try and rally back, snag a top 10 for his troubles.
Here's some 3 wide for you, Alex. 82 got
they
pushed
left
out
the
of line.
82 out.
Left out to dry here.
I don't think that the 82 there, Stan Carnathan, has got a ton of friends up at the front of the field. Got bailed out on the he got left out to dry on the restart, and then subsequently here, you see the 82 continuing to fall back as no one is jumping into that 3rd row. He needs to find a couple of teammates out there. He needs to find them in a hurry. Because right now, he was in the lead a moment ago. He's now back to the 14th position, now making 15th.
It's never good. Like, sometimes you don't want your mirror to be full, but when you go to that 3rd line and you see it get really empty, you know that you're going to lose at least 10 spots. That's not a good feeling. We've all been there. It's even worse, though, when you get stuck in the middle and you see the C's part. Yeah. Everyone just goes inside, outside, and you fall like a rock through the center. Then you know who your friends are. So I'm sure that's added to the memory banks here. The memories of we're kind of like elephants here. We'll remember everything. So come Auto Club when there's a guy that you need to be a little patient with. If it was one of those guys that ducked out of your mirror here at Daytona, you're going to lose that patience level really short.
Yeah, there is no doubt about that. But back up at the front of the field, Sturgill's gotten back around Giroux, although that number 92 has glued himself to the back bumper of the 3 right now. 20 laps to go here in this season opener at Daytona. See Waddle now looking to mount a charge on the outside. That 54 machine. He spent a lot of time running around 5th or 6th so far tonight. Up a few spots as Garone heavy into the outside wall off of 2.
66 heavy damage. He's going to fall back out of the draft now. We saw a little bit of right front damage on the 66 earlier. And is that a product of this car just getting really tight on entry? Oh, big wreck. 54's
the big
around.
one. We jump back up right as the big one happens. A lot of quality cars caught up there. The 54 of Waddle, 9 of Plauger I saw was involved as well. Not to mention, I mean, looks like the 43 of Carrington gets away unscathed, but really had to get on the brakes.
He's got some damage on the front end. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he does. Another car who's led laps tonight involved in that one. What a heavy, heavy incident for a number of cars in the field. That looked like it started pretty far up in the pack.
This is what happens when you get stuck 3 wide in the middle and you're falling. That was what I was talking about just a moment ago with the 54. He got stuck in the middle. We'll back it up even further to show you how he kind of gets shuffled out here. And you're falling like a rock when you're in the middle like that.
Yeah, and then as they go 3 wide into 3, you see the 91 and the 54 just make enough contact to launch the 54 up the track. That 3rd lane is nowhere to go, and then everything washes back down, collecting that 2nd line of cars. There's a ton of carnage there on board here with Plauger. This is not going to be a pretty sight.
You see that little bobble there from the 91, and then at that point you can't check up. I think that was the one that got into the back of him, of Melnick.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
Take
Looks
that
like,
on
though,
board
the
with
one
Melnick.
with the spin, looks like he was able to get back up to speed pretty quickly.
Yeah, you're going to see him just kind of do evasive maneuvers. He's not expecting this. No one's expecting this, but yeah, right into the back of the 9.
Oh, heavy closing speed out to the back bumper of the 9, but using the 82 to get straightened out a little bit actually there, although the front of that 1 car completely caved in. It looks like someone just took a hammer and wailed right on the front grille.
And I'm trying to find the other car. Oh, man. Well, you know, we're not quite familiar with the paint schemes here, but I think it was Justin Ray. We're going to back this up one more time here. Look at the damage on this thing.
Oh, boy. I mean, that's terminal. That's...
Yeah. That car
that
done
front
for the day.
Not moving.
Let's see how he got it.
He was running up in the top 5 for the first time all evening. And, you know, as they make their way off of 1 and 2, you see things start getting a little hairy. And then, you know, they go through the corner, and eventually at some point here, it's going to leave the 54 out to dry. And while that seemed like a good move to make at the time, see as he jumps to the outside here, this ultimately puts him in the strike position here for when the 54 washes up the track. Him and Carrington both get the raw end of the deal.
And yeah, it was actually the
And
411
Tim
that came up and hit him. Yeah.
Yeah. Man.
He almost missed it
A
all.
lot of fast cars. A lot of fast cars torn up there. And, you know, we were talking earlier about the big one and, you know, the old adage, cautions breed cautions. We only had one through the opening 60 laps of this race. But now, as we stare down about the last 16, 17 laps of this race, people are going to be pushing even harder, knowing how little of a window there is left. And I think that we're going to see more ambitious moves in the last couple laps here, and potentially another 1 or 2 of those.
We still have the race analysis up on the screen, so I guess we'll get rid of that. But we're going to take a quick little brief break here. You are watching the SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series live on Vspeed. More coverage is going to continue here on our channel on YouTube. Make sure you share and like this broadcast if you're enjoying the action. We'll be back with you right after this. Well, here we are back at Daytona. We got a little rest for our voices. SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series since 2009. SimRacerHub.com has been the premier destination for iRacing League scoring. Our mission is to provide you with the most comprehensive and user-friendly tools to manage your league's schedules, results, points, and stats. Plus, our highly active Discord community is always ready to assist you with any questions or issues. Ready to take the plunge? Create a league today and join our community of passionate sim racers. Find out more at simracerhub.com. The Challenger Series is brought to you by Admin Box, Rapid Fire Pizza, and Aspiration Homes. Again, this is Bradley Cooper and Alex Gagnon up here in the booth. We're getting set to go back green here for the third time today after we had what would probably be quoted as the big one here, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, a good, gotta say, what, 8 to 10 cars probably collected in that one. A lot of them back on track, but nursing heavy damage. As the pace car peels off, we are racing once again at Daytona. Michael Sturgill on the outside, Daniel Giroux on the outside, jumping right back in behind them. The 92 car slotting into second place. Craig Martin, his car on the outside.
Quite a lot of shuffling, not some good starts for some of these cars that have damage. The 411 of Tim Bruce falling big time. The 19 on the outside as well. Andre Carvalho, I'm going to butcher this again. Carvalho. Yeah, I'll get that one. I promise, guys. Hey, week 2, we're always better.
Always takes just a minute as you see Giroux to the outside here. Rosenberg going to follow him through. The 92 back up front here, making their way toward lap 67 of 80, nearing the final stages of this race. Rosenberg now maybe going to take a peek to the inside as he jumps in front of the 3 of Sturgill, boxing that number 3 in there in third.
Well, on the outside, you've got Craig Martin, who started in 14th. We really haven't mentioned his name at all tonight. Up here in the top 3 on the outside has the 12 surge of Josh Dillon. It's going to take a few more cars, though, to get that outside line working, and almost a box out there from the third in line. I believe that's Sturgill going up there and giving him a little door check to let him know.
Yeah, certainly, I'm sure neither of them are going to be too thrilled about that one. But you're talking about drivers we haven't seen a lot of tonight. How about the guy rolling in 6th right now, Jose Ruiz? That guy started back in 21st, now scored in the 6th position, right here in this lead pack, fighting for the lead with only a few laps to go in this one.
Coming up on that 10 to go mark. Martin's going to take over the lead for the first time today there briefly through the tri-oval. A lot of lead changes here back and forth, and you're going to see that. We haven't seen the 3 wide pushes, but we've seen some guys get stuck in the middle. I think that middle line won't be as bad here in the closing laps. Guys will commit to that. Wherever they can find a hole, they're going to put this car.
Yeah, and only 11 cars on this lead group here. So finding friends in the pack is going to be all that more critical. There's only so many cars that can help you if this thing goes 3 wide. So you got to find a way to make some friends in a hurry out there. Giroux on the inside, holding on to the lead right now. Craig Martin trying to take it away on that outside. You can see the gap back to that second group, nearly several seconds behind now. 6 seconds the gap. And that's, you start seeing everyone get picked up there with the 05. And then Melnick and Waddle just behind them. So that group really out of contention at this point, unless there's another caution that bunches up the field. It's probably going to be someone in that top 11 who's going to take this thing.
That's unfortunate because you see the 05 of Steck, and he doesn't have a lot of damage. but he got put in a situation there with that restart. You saw Tim Bruce and a few others that kind of fell through on that outside, didn't get it going. And the 43 of Carrington, Andre Carvalho, and a few others that just didn't have the restart that they need. The horsepower's down on those cars, and they're just trying to salvage the day. Maybe another caution comes out, though, because you can see how they're touching the yellow line. They're touching the wall. They're offset 3 wide several times here down the backstretch. Less than 10 to go when they cross or at 10 to go when they cross the stripe. This is where the moves start to happen.
Yeah, this is about that moment in time. If you're currently sitting in like 9th, 10th, 11th, you start thinking, all right, well, I got to get at least a position a lap if I want to find my way to the front of the field. I don't have a lot of time left to sit around and wait. Someone probably in the back of the field, or at least the back of this lead group in those last 3 or 4 cars, might be thinking about making that move in the next couple laps. Meanwhile, those cars in the top 6 or 7 content to try and hold on to these 2 lines just a little bit longer, get a little bit closer to the end before you make your move. You're in a decent enough position where you can close those last 3, 4, 5 positions in a couple of laps versus the 10 or so that you've got left.
Well, good news for Michael Sturgill. He has his teammate Gabriel Ellison back on his rear bumper, and these guys sizing it up here, coming out of turn 4. They got a few cars in their way, but they've been kind of the dominant up here in the top 5. Little sparks flying there as they brush the apron there through the tri-oval. Looks like the simracerhub.com, the Chevrolet, or actually, I apologize, the Lexus. And what would be the proper Lexus here as these cars storm around? Because we know the Toyotas are out there in the real world, but a luxurious Lexus out there on the racetrack? What kind of suspensions, I think, got under it to help them get to the front?
Guess we'll find out in a minute here, because they want to get to the front. They're going to have to put everything they've got into it over the next couple laps. They're not really in a position where they can make moves at the moment. Both of those cars boxed in by the rest of the pack, and you can't go below that double yellow line. Right now, it's just a matter of sitting and waiting for an opportunity to try and pop out and make a move. Some intense side drafting there between Rosenberg and Martin.
Is there a Volkswagen on the racetrack I just saw? Is that what I just saw in the back of that machine? I need to, yes, confirmed. There's a Volkswagen going down the backstretch of Daytona today.
You know what this it's giving Herbie fully loaded out there. The 53 Beetle running around out there against the, ironically enough, the Gen 4s. So maybe a little call back to that, although that car looks absolutely nothing like Herbie. I'll tell you that much. No, that thing is right out of my nightmares.
That's Herbie Unchained.
Herbie After Dark.
Herbie After Dark. Here we go with 6 laps to go, 7 laps to go actually when they cross the stripe, 74 laps in. And it looks like the 92 keeping command of the field. He has Dylan Rosenberg on the inside. I'm going to assume that these two working together, maybe teammates. I'll have to go back and confirm that. Unfortunately, there's the 9 there on the inside. The Aspiration team just trying to log the laps. He is currently, Joseph Plogger is currently in 18th, 3 laps down. We have 16 cars still on the lead lap. Tim Bruce at the tail end of that. Some heavily damaged machines outside of this top 10. And we have what seems to be an 11-car breakaway with Jeff No in the 55 at the tail end of it.
Can confirm to your earlier speculation, Giroux and Rosenberg are indeed teammates. A couple of push-to-pass racing guys trying to hold down the front of the field here. Just behind them, a couple of the Whole Shot Motorsports cars there. A couple of those SimRacerHub.com machines running just behind them. So certainly, oh, actually now 3 in a row there. The 49 tags on here. Clinton Sneed. They've got 3 cars lined up nose to tail there on that inside line behind 92 and 91. So a lot of cars finding their teammates out there when it matters most. Just a matter of can you push to the front, as we've now got 5 laps to go here from Daytona.
So it's going to be the first time here on Vspeed that we get the call. The SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series finishers. Who's going to be our top 3 in our post-race interviews? Again, I'd like to thank Alex Gagnon for being a part of this. Great action here in these Gen 4 cars. The 22 making some noise here at the end of this thing. Quiet all day long. He found a hole in this last restart. He's at the point going into turn 3.
Craig Martin trying to take the inaugural victory of the season here. Not inaugural, but the first victory of the season. Winning this opening race at Daytona would be a great way to set yourself up for the rest of the year if you can hold on to it. But you know, Giroux and Rosenberg going to be tough to pass on that inside. Those two cars lined up nose to tail and have been unwavering since they've got linked up about 10 laps ago. And then, you know, I'm starting to see a little bit of a gap potentially forming here. Here goes Sturgill now popping to the outside.
He'll
take Ellison with him. And here comes the action at the front of the field. Giroux and Rosenberg on the inside, Sturgill and Ellison to the outside.
That's what we were worried about. You know, you got the 27 and the 3 who have worked well together. I thought maybe they would take Snead with them as well. But it's nose to tail. They're not going to give an inch. They're going to pinch down here in the tri-oval. Sturgill back to the point. Everyone else trying to find the table scraps for the draft as they come out of the tri-oval into turn 1. It was Sturgill across the line, but the 92 surges back to the front.
Yeah, Craig Martin got really shuffled out of all this. He's now back to 6th. Carnathan back up to 5th here, tailing behind Rosenberg. There's a teammates running inside and outside right now inside the top 4. Just going to be a matter of who can push the other harder right now. You see Sturgill now inching ahead, 0.06 of a second on the scoreboard right now. Can he find enough to close out in front of the 92? Not going to be able to do it this time by off of turn 4. They'll be side by side at the line with 2 to go.
It's going to be really close across that stripe. I believe the 92 got it that time by. So Daniel leads another lap, but Sturgill has the momentum going into turns 1 and 2. We're going to have to be careful, though. They're starting to push the issue with what this car is capable of as far as bump drafting goes. You've got to have a lot of faith in the guy behind you. You get that tap at the wrong time, the wrong part of the corner, 2 laps to go. I think at this point, forget about it. You know what? I'm going to push you. There's Snead on the outside of the 49.
How did he get up there? And now he has made it a 3-wide battle for 5th.
There's a hole. It's not there anymore.
Oh, he goes with Martin. Martin thought about popping up. Trying to debate if he wants to make that 3rd line. Elects not to do it. Here we go. White flag in the air.
For the final time around Daytona. 2 miles left. Moving back and forth there on the inside.
Martin Snead going to make that 3rd line.
He made that work somehow. The 22 gets shuffled out. I'm not sure how that even happened, but now we have 3 teammates in line with each other on the outside. This is a recipe for the 92.
Head down on the inside. He's got his teammate behind him. What does Sturgill have off of 4?
I don't know. He's focused, though. This is going to be right here at the line. Door touch. Another door touch. Just shy of it here. And it's going to be Daniel Giroux with the win. First race of the season.
Daniel Giroux, what a gutsy victory at the end there. Even took the door-to-door with Sturgill, kept that thing moving in the right direction. And Daniel Giroux, that number 92 machine, win number 1 on the season, wins the season opener at Daytona. Boy, when those 3 cars got linked up on the outside, I really thought it was over, but Rosenberg and Giroux did a great job on that inside line, being able to keep that momentum going. But boy, did Sturgill give him a run for his money off of 4.
13/100ths of a second across the stripe there. Door-to-door action. It came down to the final 100 feet out of turn 4 into the tri-oval. And the 92 was able to hold it down there with the teammate just behind him. Dylan Rosenberg pushes his teammate here to the victory. And it was tandem from there. 3 cars on the outside. They couldn't best the Mopar Power on the bottom. Congratulations to Daniel on the victory. We'll get a post-race interview with Giroux, Sturgill, and Rosenberg. You're watching the SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series. More coverage is going to continue right after this. back here live from Daytona. Well, it was a phenomenal race. We put on probably the best show that you could hope for. Race recap up on your screen. 2 cautions and 31 lead changes. Well, you couldn't say anything different. It's Daytona. That's what you'd expect of a place like this. But finally, out here, we get a winner for this thing. And, you know, you had your stage break. You had guys side by side and all the different people up in and out of the top 10. But finally, it comes down to our race winner. And, you know, I butchered your name all race long. You're up here in the booth with us. But Daniel Giroux, is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah.
All right. So officially, you get a teammate behind you there. You know, you had Sturgill and a few of those guys, and Ellison, and I believe Snead actually got up there and started pushing as well there towards the end. But how close was it there for the end of this race?
It was a struggle trying to, because on that pit stop under green, me and my team, we all took right sides instead of 4 tires, and so trying to keep it down on the bottom at the end of that was nuts. I will say though, it was a good first race with the league. I had a lot of fun. I really liked racing with all the guys.
Yeah, I mean, 2 cautions at Daytona in this car where you're kind of just flying up by the seat of your pants the whole time. You don't really know what anyone else is going to do. You can be the best driver in the world, but you're really relying on everyone around you to make sure that you can actually finish this thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. I had my teammate Dylan Rosenberg behind me. He was glued to my butt probably half the race at least, and I don't think I would have won it without him pushing me.
I can absolutely agree with that. He was giving you quite the shove there. And even when Sturgill and everyone else stepped out of line and the inside broke apart, he kept you up there and gave you just enough there through turn 4. Talk about that finish there. You're coming out of turn 4. You got a guy glued to your door, or a guy glued to your bumper. You're running out of racetrack. What's going through your mind there with the wheel in your hand?
Honestly, I was just hoping that we would make it to the field without wrecking, or to the finish without wrecking. Because I think it was a lap or 2 before, Craig and Josh got shuffled out when the 3 and the 27, sorry, I don't know their names yet, but they came flying in, and we thought that they were going to take the inside or they were going to control both lanes. And so coming to the finish line, it was more just really hoping that we were going to get there first, and I'm glad that we did.
Well, Daniel, you can thank Alex Gagnon for me pronouncing your name right here at the very end of this broadcast. He taught me how to say it. So with that, we got that thanks out of the way. Is there anybody else that you want to shout out here for tonight's victory?
Yeah, obviously my team, PTP Racing, with Dylan and Andre and Max, a whole bunch of good guys. I also got some guys from Piston Broke, who I've known for a little bit now, helping me get up to speed with this iRacing thing. Yeah, really thanks to all of them. It's been fun.
I appreciate your time. Thank you for coming up here in the booth with us. And again, congrats on the victory. And we look forward to next week at Auto Club with you.
Yep, I appreciate it.
That's your winner here tonight at Daytona in the first race of the season, Dylan Giroux in the 92. We're going to move on down to pit road. Your second place finisher, we have Alex Gagnon with Michael Sturgill, and he is on pit road here with your second place driver.
That we are, Michael Sturgill. Congrats on the P2 finish there. Obviously, not where you wanted to finish though tonight. Coming up just a hair short after leading the majority of the laps here tonight. I mean, you were up front for the vast majority of this race. Talk us through a little bit your night and what you would have done differently at the end there if you had a second crack at it.
I don't know. We top just wasn't as organized as the bottom. Then it didn't help. I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but those last couple of restarts, it seemed like I didn't have anyone behind me on the restart, so I'd get, out too far, and then once they catch back up, they can just blow right by you. So that hurt. And then I got shuffled back to like the third car on the inside, and it was rough. Finally got clear of the top and went up there, and we just weren't as organized.
Yeah, it ultimately cost you by just a hair, but you did have the opportunity to spend most of the night racing with your teammate there in the 27 of Ellison. How much of the plan going into tonight was working with your teammates versus how much of it was just it came to fruition where you guys kept running nose to tail because you found yourselves in that spot?
Yeah, I mean that's always the plan at these places is to work together. So Gabe and I were just up there trying to keep our cars up front, and then Clinton was there at the end too, so it was cool for all of us to be up there for that. And Landon, our other teammate, wasn't able to make it tonight, so I just want to give him a shout out, and we definitely miss him.
Yeah, I mean, the three of you guys who were here from the team here tonight, obviously pretty solid finish, all inside the top 10, maybe even all inside the top 5 or at least top 6. So strong start for the team to start the season. Do you look at this as some momentum to build toward Auto Club with everyone finishing so well, or is it a matter of a missed opportunity with the win being in your grasp here tonight?
No, I think this will be good momentum going into Auto Club. Obviously, Auto Club's not identical in how Daytona races, but big track, big drafting track. So if we can work together again, we should be up front again, hopefully.
Alrighty. Well, hey, anyone you want to thank or shout out while you're up here in the booth?
You guys are putting on a broadcast. I'm really glad you guys are the one doing it. Everyone watching, my teammates, Clinton, Gabe, and Landon, and Sim Racer Hub. I think that's got it.
Alrighty. Well, hey, Michael, congrats on the P2 finish here tonight, and looking forward to seeing you in the booth again here real soon.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
That was P2 finisher Michael Sturgill coming up. What were you saying? 1300ths short of the win
Yeah,
here this
13
evening?
100s. Yeah, it was very close. Very, very close. Yeah, we've seen quite a few at these super speedways. Yeah, that one's going to go down in probably the top 5 as the closest finish. The only other closest that I could think of was Talladega on a Thursday or a Tuesday night with 4/1000ths of a second 4 wide. So yeah, that's the number one that we can think of here on Vspeed. But yeah, these guys put on a great show. 13/100ths of a second. That's crazy. Especially when you're door banging across the line in these cars. That's brave.
Yeah, it really, especially when there's not a whole lot of room, and these cars not necessarily known for their traction.
No, absolutely not. And speaking of traction, the guy that gave all the traction he could, Dylan Rosenberg, up here into the booth. He's going to finish 3rd here today. Dylan, I got to tell you, man, I don't know if we said it enough. I don't know if Daniel said it enough, but he has to thank you for keeping that car where it was, because without you, that inside fell apart. Without you, that car in the 92 would not have won this race.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. I knew if we had held the bottom and just stayed connected, they were going to have a hard time getting around us. Craig and Michael, they were getting up there on the outside and side draft, and I knew, especially going down the backstretch into turn 3, they almost cleared Daniel a couple times, but I was able to time the run just right where I was able to push him out ahead, and then the outside lane would break up. We just kept doing that lap after lap. But in those last 5 laps, I was pushing so hard, and the gauges were flashing red. I actually had to, I think it was 2 laps to go, I had to give up about a car length and a half just to breathe the engine because I don't think it was going to make it. But yeah, that was an incredible race.
Well, the flashing red was the radar lock on the back of that 92 machine. I think that meant you were committed to pushing your teammate to the finish.
Yeah, absolutely. And he and I have worked well together in the past in some other leagues. Um, we had a strategy going into the pit stops. We figured maybe we can short pit and do 2 tires. So we tried that, and it worked out great. We lost 2 of our teammates, unfortunately, but the pit strategy worked out great. We were able to cycle out in the lead draft, albeit still a lap down, but we were getting free lap time off them because they still had to pit. And when everything cycled out, we came out with the lead. And we had like a 9 or 10 car pack, and we were content with just riding around. But then we had that caution and bunched everything up. And then I don't know who got into me on the outside. There was a big pile up. The 54 car. Somebody got into me, and I'm not sure how I managed to save it, but I'm glad I did. And we were able to put a 1-3 together for PTP Racing.
Yeah, we can go back to that. We talked about it a couple different times. It's probably the biggest wreck we had all night long. It took out quite a few contenders in this race. But we could go back to you started kind of deep at mid pack here to start this race. Actually, right in the middle of this pack, and then the teammate that you end up pushing to the win, starting up towards the front. How hard was it for you to navigate this traffic through this race?
Honestly, at the beginning of the race, I tried to make some moves. I passed a couple cars in the initial start on the outside, but eventually I just kind of hung to the bottom. It was really hard to pass. Is one line would get a run, then the other line would get a run, and you just kind of go back and forth. It was really on the pit strategy. That's what made the difference because when we got that caution, I think I was P4 when we had that first caution, and Daniel and I were hooked up the whole way, and then we had the incident. It took out a bunch of cars, but from there on, we were up in the top four the rest of the race, and I was able to stay connected with them. I told Michael in the waiting area here a moment ago. I said nothing personal, but I wasn't gonna let him have it because I was telling Daniel we're gonna win this race. We're gonna win this race, and he's like, oh, he's gonna get me on the outside. He's gonna get me on the outside. I said no, he's not. Yeah, great race.
You said I got a right side door that makes sure that he won't. So, Dylan, congrats on the top 3 and a great start to the season. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to shout out here while we have you in the booth?
Yeah, of course. Shout out to PTP Racing, Daniel, Max, and Andy. It was a great team effort. Unfortunately, Max and Andy weren't able to. They were a little deeper in the pack, and we weren't able to get connected like we had planned on initially. But my girlfriend Amanda, I know she's watching, and I appreciate the Sim Racer Hub and Clinton and Casey Carrington for putting this deal together. My Tuesday nights recently freed up from another league I was in, so this works out perfect because I'm full-time in the All-American Cup Series. And thank you guys for putting on what I heard was a great broadcast, so I'm going to go back and watch it at some point, maybe tomorrow on my lunch break at work. And yeah, we'll go on next week into California.
I appreciate the compliments, and I'll give you a little advice. You lead with Amanda next time. Gets you a lot of bonus points, buddy. I promise. Lead with that as your thank you. But Dylan, we appreciate your time up here in the booth. And as always here, it was a great race. Thank you for your time. We'll see you next week at Auto Club.
Thank you.
So there he is, third place finisher of the night here at Daytona, the first race of the Sim Racer Hub season. Oh boy, was it exciting. I mean, you got here at the last minute. I know, Alex, you had no warning, no 411. There was no info. I just said, hey, show up here. How much time do I have? I think my response was now.
Yeah, for the 9 o'clock start here tonight, I was informed that I was on tap to be doing this at around 8:49. So no, it's but we fill in where we can here at Vspeed. We got a pretty robust crew of both producers and broadcasters here to fill in at a moment's notice, and I think that was what brought it all together here tonight. But I do appreciate the invite to join you up here in the booth for this SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series. Bradley, before we go, do we want to do a quick rundown of the final results?
Yes, let's get that up on the screen real quick. We kind of glossed over that, so we're gonna get those results up on the screen here. Of course, you heard from our top 3 all the way back to Rosenberg. Then it's gonna go with Gabriel Ellison in 4th position, Stan Carnathan in 5th. Clinton Sneed is gonna finish 6th spot with Michael Garone in 7th. Josh Dillon, 8th position with Jeff No in 9th. And rounding out that top 10 is going to be Jose Ruiz. That's my best go at that one.
That's what I would go with as well. Craig Martin finishing 11th here tonight. Steck in 12th, just ahead of Waddle. Casey Carrington, our pole sitter, finishing 14th here tonight. And Carvalho finishing in 15th tonight, the last car on the lead lap. Everyone from here on back is multiple laps down, with Melnick there in 16th. Michael York, who went for a bit of a wild ride, flipping over off of turn 4, finishing 17th. Plowger finishing 18th tonight, with Tim Bruce and Shelton finishing 19th and 20th.
4 cars left on your results. We have the 21st spot with the 38 of Justin Ray, Clinton Castleberry in 22nd, Cade Sullivan 33 car in 23rd, and Kane Lee is going to round out your field here. 24 cars tonight. Well, I hope you guys can tune in next week because we have another great show for you. It's Auto Club, Tuesday, August 13th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. You can tune in here on Vspeed as we will have flag-to-flag coverage all season long of the SimRacerHub.com Challenge Series right here on Vspeed. So with that, I'd like to thank Alex Gagnon for being up here in the booth, Adam Baker for doing all the things in the background, and again, Clint Seed for bringing us on board. You watched another great production here on Vspeed. We'll see you next week at Auto Club.